During my videos, you will probably hear dogs, cats, birds, and also a cow. Airplanes sometimes, a pressure cooker going off, and my neighbors talking loudly, and their baby crying. And I'm sorry and I apologize for it all. Hi, this is Diana. Welcome to my channel Dinky Loves Books, that's all about books and reading. I think I love films almost as much as I love books, and I especially like films that have been adapted from books. I did watch a few films in October that were based on books, so I thought that was a good video idea to discuss with you certain films that were based on books. First film I watched in October based on a book was The Martian by Andy Weir, and I think this is a 2011 book which was made into a film in 2015. It stars Matt Damon, the marvelous Matt Damon, who plays Mark Watney, who's a scientist. Well, basically, they go on a mission to Mars. It's the year 2035, and due to some malfunction of some equipment, he's left behind and presumed to be dead. He needs to survive on Mars till they can find a way to get back to him and rescue him, which is quite a long period of time. I think a couple of months or maybe more than a year. And I can't really tell because Martian days are not equivalent to Earth days, but it's a really long time, and finally they are able to get back to him and bring him back to Earth. I'm glad that I got to at least watch the film because I could not finish the book. Like I said, it was too much for me, but the film is really interesting and fun, so you should definitely watch it. The second film that I watched was kind of strange. It's a romantic dark fantasy, and it's about this janitor called Elisa who works in a science laboratory, and she comes across this creature who is an amphibian who's been captured from the Amazon, and they're using him for some experimentation. They are not able to connect to him at any level because obviously he's not human, but she finds a way to connect to him, and they form a deep bond and even get intimate at one point of time. And obviously it's this really fantastical story which could never happen because no such creature exists. And also Elisa cannot communicate with him. She doesn't need language to communicate because he doesn't understand her language, and in any case she's mute, she can't speak, so they just communicate through signs and actions. And I just thought this was like a really weird movie, and it was also a bit creepy, but an interesting premise nevertheless. This film is called The Shape of Water and was released in I think 2017. So if you don't have the patience to read this entire book, maybe you could just watch the film instead. And the next book is The Mountain Between Us by Charles Martin. He wrote it in 2011 and it was made into a film in 2017. So basically it's about these two people, Ben and Alex, who charter a small plane to travel to somewhere because there's a snowstorm going on, but the plane crashes and they are in the middle of this snowy mountainous region, and somehow they have to survive all of that and get back to civilization. So it stars Idris Elba and Kate Winslet, and if you're wondering whether the two fall in love, two beautiful people, what do you think happens? So it gave me a little bit of Nicholas Sparks kind of vibes, but not as gooey and gushy as all that. It was more of an adventure tinged with some romance. It's classified as a disaster romance. Isn't that ironic, because romance is a disaster already? So this is a double disaster. Anyway, it's a movie worth watching and I think you should give it a shot. Those of you who've read Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 know what it's about. It's a dystopic novel about a time in which literature and culture is being destroyed, and there are these men known as firefighters who are not supposed to put out fires, but who are supposed to find every piece of literature and culture, and they're supposed to destroy it so that it doesn't propagate evil and free thinking as they see it. And this one particular fireman is Guy Montag, who treats his work as something very sacred and patriotic. Then he meets this girl called Clarice who opens his eyes to what is really going on around him, and then he's forced to examine his beliefs. I also watched In the Tall Grass, which is a film based on the novella by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill. The the novella was published in 2012 and made into a film in 2019. And the story is about these two siblings called Cal and Becky. They are traveling across the country in their car to their aunt and uncle's house because Becky is just 19 years old and she's having a baby. So her parents think it's wise to send her to her aunt and uncle's house. And while they've been traveling, they stop by this large field of grass. The grass is like really high above their heads, and they hear a little boy called Tobin shouting out for help, and they rush in to help him. But once they're inside this grass, they lose each other and they cannot find where Tobin is, and they come across all these people and these strange situations and occurrences, and they spend a lot of time in the grass. All sorts of strange and weird things and scary, gory things start happening to them. Will Becky be able to get out of the grass in time so that she can save her life and the life of her brother and her unborn baby? Watch it to find out. The next film also is based on a novella by Stephen King, and it's not that I made a deliberate attempt to watch films that are based on Stephen King's book. It just happened by coincidence. This is 1922 and it's based on a novella that was written in 2010, and I think it was made into film in 2018. There's a farmer called Wilfred, and he has these fields, he has all this agricultural land, and his wife has plots of land that are adjacent to his. He's happy being a farmer, but his wife is not happy living over there and she wants to sell her land and move to the city. But he realizes that if she sells her land, it will become probably a construction, like there will be construction on her land, and then he cannot use his land for farming anymore. So he convinces his son Henry to murder his wife, and they murder her and they put her body in a well, and after that all hell breaks loose. I thought it was a really creepy film. I enjoyed watching it, and I'm sure you will too. Every Agatha Christie fan has probably read Murder on the Orient Express that was published in 1934. It's a Hercule Poirot mystery, and as the name suggests, it's about a murder that takes place on the Orient Express. While this whole group of people are traveling, there is one particular person called Ratchet who is murdered, and it's up to Hercule Poirot to figure out who did it. Even if you read the book, even if you know the story, it's worth watching once because it has a stellar cast like James Judi Dench, Kenneth Branagh, Johnny Depp, Michelle Pfeiffer, Penelope Cruz. I mean, it goes on and on. All of them star in this film, and I think it's worth watching just for that. The next is the 1986 book by Stephen King called It, and all of you must have seen this film already, but I rewatched it. It's this story about this killer clown called Pennywise, and if you disliked clowns before this, you're really going to hate them after watching this film because this is just an evil entity who takes the form of a clown and appears every 27 years in this town. So it's these 7 kids against this one evil clown. The last film that I watched based on a book was Bird Box, which is based on the 2014 book by Josh Malerman and made into a film in 2018 starring Sandra Bullock. It's basically a post-apocalyptic story about there's this evil entity that exists in this world, and if you look at it, you will die. So she needs to escape with her 2 children, and they blindfold themselves. She needs to take them through the woods, over the river, down some rapids to a place, a sanctuary where they will be safe from whatever's going on in the world around them. And it's a brilliant premise, and I really love the concept, and I really love the end of the book, and also how well she navigated through all of this terrain that she had to cross to finally get herself and her kids to safety. So those were all the movies that I watched in October that were based on books. I watched other films as well, but since they were not based on books, I didn't include them in this video. I will make another video like this in the next month as well, in November, because I watch a lot of films and I make an effort to watch a lot of films that are based on books. So I'll have another video for you like this in November as well, probably. I hope you'll come back then and watch that video as well. Don't forget to press the subscribe button so that you get an update about whenever I post my videos. I'll be back very soon with another video, and I'll see you then. Bye.